Autumn for Black Tree, written and read by Oliver Tonic. This is a completed novella, read as a series. Enjoy the story from here on, or start from the beginning with the first episode. And now, back to the tale. Episode 11. Empty Harvest. That night, Barley found himself staking out another field. Now that he knew the first creature was Paxus, all he had left was the second creature. He had been tracking for days and following the patterns he had finally pinpointed. It seemed to him that the creature ate from the mushroom fields only after they had been burned by Paxus. This seemed an odd but consistent detail. The challenge was figuring out when the thing would come back to a field. It usually ate from one field one night and then would choose another on another night. This part seemed random. He started suspecting the creature was actually deliberately trying to throw him off its trail. He decided the only possible solution was to stake out just one farm for a long period of time. It would have to have been burned and partially eaten from, but clearly still have plenty of crop left to consume. He decided this after many frustrating hit and misses. So, as tedious as it was, he had sat at one particular farm night after night for the past few nights without any success, just hoping upon hope that it would eventually show up. And show up it did. A bored Barley sat peeling the skin off a small branch he had picked from himself when a huge creature came barreling into view. Even in the dark, with only the light of the moon and the stars, it was a sight to behold. Out of the trees came a huge creature that was shaped something like a beetle. It had hulking shoulders and a long horn-like structure protruding forward from the top of its head. The face below it had two sets of gleaming eyes on either side of its head. The shadows of the night prevented him from seeing every detail, but he could tell the creature had very prominent arms and shoulders. They pounded into the ground and had large, long, sharp horns protruding from the elbows that stuck up in the air as the thing hunched over and walked. He couldn't see them clearly, but he was sure the monster had multiple arms on its belly because it clawed up Pelodius as it went. Its sharp teeth drooled as it shoveled mushroom cap after mushroom cap into its rows of externally set sharp teeth. It looked as though it was in a constant state of an ugly grin, as he could see no lips. The back of its body was a mess of shuffling appendages that moved with precision as it combed its way through the field. Barley was shaken. He hadn't seen anything quite like it before. It had come into the field with such confidence. It was so unlike the timidness he had witnessed before that he didn't know what to do. He just stared as it gobbled up the fungus. It ate, and Barley looked on for a long time. Finally, the thing settled. It had eaten most all of what was left of the healthy Pelodius crop on the farm. The thing was big, but he was still amazed at the amount the creature could fit inside of itself. He was sure now that whatever small sections of the mushrooms it had been carving out, like the one he'd seen on Toka's farm the first time, was a part of some kind of marking system the beetle had. Now that he saw what it was capable of, he knew there was no way those had been attempts at eating to satisfy itself. After sitting for a while, the beetle monster stood up on all of its hind legs and moved with surprising speed back towards the woods. There was no way Barley was going to let it get away this time. He dashed through the trees as fast as he could to head it off and watch where it went. He spotted it shuffling its way up a nearby hill, its abdomen bobbing as it went. The hill overlooked the farm it had just come from, along with a few more properties nearby. Barley stayed in the trees just below, watching. The creature looked up to the sky and raised itself all the way up. Its front arms lifted off the ground, and its huge horn protruded toward the stars. It was quiet. Barley had half expected the thing to let out a massive cry, but then reconsidered after he realized after all his nights of searching he would have heard a cry like that. Suddenly, Barley began to cough. Then he coughed more. He slapped his hands over his mouth to quiet himself and receded farther into the trees, losing his view of the creature. He felt like he had smoke in his lungs, and he began to choke. He rolled down the incline on the hill in the trees, keeping his mouth covered. He got low and gasped for breath. He looked at his hand and saw green residue and droplets in his fingers. This was it, the vapor from before. The green cough. He sat there and waited out the green fog. Soon it dissipated, and Barley made his way back through the trees to the hill. The monster was gone. He headed back to the farm. Through the trees, he could see the ravished crop the beast had come from. The mushrooms were gone, and what was left was pitiful. A small bit of rye and barley was left for the farm. It was clear the farmers had been growing so little viable crop that there was no way they could have made a living. And now this thing had eaten their pointless toiling, leaving the field barren and showing what all their hard work had really amounted to. Hey guys, it's Oliver. Thank you so much for coming to my little corner of the internet to give me a listen. Give me a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to hear more of this and any of my other stories. This entire novel is free, along with all my stories on this channel. But if you'd like to support me, I have a Patreon now. Your donations go a long way in helping me perform, write, and produce. I'll have weekly episodes up until all 18 parts of the story are fully released. So stay tuned.